Hello, Sakti. How are you doing today? What's up? I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. I wish you very happy Independence Day. Hello, Homer. How are you doing today? Hello, Rosie. How are you doing? I wish you very happy Independence Day, Rosie. Okay, guys. You know what? Today gonna talk about Independence Day. When it comes to like independence. So, independent, this word is, coined by independent. Do you know the meaning of independent? As I know about this Independence Day, that India became independent on 15 August 1947. And this year, like I'm talking about this year only, guys. Hello, Patil. How are you doing today? So this year, or like I'm talking about 2022. On this year, we are celebrating the anniversary of this Independence Day on 15th August 2022. That's 75th Independence Day. 75th Independence Day. Yeah, guys. So I hope you know about it. Like this is the 75th Independence Day, which Indian are celebrating. Welcome, Bharat. Bharat, can you drop a comment? Then only I can accept your request. Welcome, Teacher Muskan. How are you doing today? That is called Amrit Mahotsav. Yes, you're right. That's called Amrit Mahotsav. Okay, Bharat. One follow. Okay, let me accept your request. Yeah, please send me request again, Bharat, if you wanna join. And yeah, guys, whosoever wanna join, so please send me the request. Happy Independence Day. Hey, thank you, Prince Brother. You are so kind, so generous, so lenient, polite, humble, and
Yeah, I'm well. I'm doing well. Happy Independence Day.
thank
How's going
you.
on
Great.
Independence Day? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Am I audible to you? Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm audible to you.
Yeah, we're audible.
Oh, that's really great. Okay, Nishant. Nishant, can you please drop a comment first? Then only I can accept your request. So, okay, my brother, could you tell me something about Independence Day? Because you are also from India, I guess. Are you?
Yeah, I know.
Hello. Yeah, so can you please tell me something about Independence Day? Hello. Hey, welcome, Satya. Wish you very happy Independence Day. Am I audible, guys? Guys, can you hear me? Hello, Satya. Am I audible? Yes, okay, fine. That's great. So, yeah, Satya, if you want to join, so you can come up. And where is Muskan? Why not see you sending the request? Hello, Satya. How are you?
Hello, Shiv the learner. Wish happy Independence Day.
Oh, wish you the same for you. So, okay, my first question for you, Satya. What you know about Independence Day?
Independence Day. Okay, Independence Day. So yeah, our country India got independence in 15 August 1947, and since 1947, each year we celebrate Independence Day in 15 August. So it's our 75th Independence Day, and yeah, also it's called Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And before that, I was listening speech of Pradhan Mantri Modi ji, and yeah, after that, I'm here.
Okay, that's really great. You have a good information about it. Okay, I'm fine. What about you, bro? I'm doing great, Tamanna. Why you are not joining, Tamanna? Please come here and try to do practice with us. If you want to improve your English speaking, then only. If you want to listen only, so that's up to you. But trust me, Hey, welcome, Tamanna. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Actually, I am waiting for train, and the announcement already uh, has uh, said. So that is why I am not be able to join now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great.
And I follow you, and I have been enhancing my knowledge through your support. Your conversation, it is really good and it's really very helpful, and I am beginners and I want to learn uh, from spoken English, about spoken English, and it's really very good.
Oh, that was really great. Nice to hear that, all these things.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, you're most welcome.
Something
Like,
happened
can
with
you
your
please introduce
voice.
yourself? My voice?
Yeah,
I'm audible?
sometimes it's less funny, sometimes it's yeah, yeah, you're audible. I can hear you, but sometimes your voice just low, and sometimes it's normal,
Okay, what about now?
clear.
Can you hear me now?
It's clear. Yeah, it's clear.
Yes, yeah, we got your voice very clearly.
Okay, that's really great. Fine. I have an interesting guy here. Hello, Sin brother. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much to allow me to be here, first of all. And happy Independence Day to everyone, whoever there from India.
Yeah,
So
wish
I'm
you
good,
the
by the way. How
same.
are you?
Wish you very happy Independence Day. Yeah, I'm doing great. It's been a long time. I didn't see you here on Hello application. Not only Hello, even not in any else team. Yeah. So where have you been nowadays? Hello, Sin. Are you there?
Yes, yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah. So where have you been nowadays?
Okay, where I've been nowadays? What do you mean to say that? I mean, I'm not here
Huh?
in this Alice, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, no. I just reduced my use.
Okay. Okay, so Sim, could you please tell me something about this special day, like Independence Day? What do you know about this day?
Oh, well, in fact, every Indians, whoever I mean, been in India and studied about, you know, have completed their study in India would be definitely know what the independence means to say. But I just want to say one thing that, see, we got independence in this year, right? And we all know. I mean, nothing to talk more about it. But one thing is very important that we do celebrate Independence Day every year on 15th of August night, right? And in fact, we should memorize this. Sorry, we should make this day memorable. But I guess it's not only about the celebration of the day and making it memorable, but it's more about the consciousness that we are having, because the that's a reason why that freedom is just not to just not meant to celebrate, but it also mean to celebrate the consciousness that you are having regarding the freedom, because I still remember the day, because it is not only about the provincial autonomy demand made by freedom fighters. It was the demand also freeing the Indian mind. And in fact, today's speech, if you listen, there is a one oath, or one a kind of agenda was said that we should be freeing ourselves from this from this. Uh, uh, the word is gulami, or enslavement of the Western idea. So there are two apparatus, that is ideological and this, this institutional. At the institutional level, we are free, but what about the mindset that we are having? We need to free that as well, and that's the reason why, in fact, this is very important for this day. to become free in terms of our mindset, in terms of our ideology, because that's more important than just considering yourself free. So that's why I say that don't only celebrate the day, but also celebrate the consciousness that you are having. And that's the reason why it's important to have a Swaraj having us, this independence.
Okay, that was really a great speech given by you, and that was really a great inspiration and insight about this, special day. And thank you for providing this much useful information. And you know what, actually, Sin, I do agree with you. Like, we just got independent on 1947, but still, when it comes to the thought process, the mindset, and the tradition, the culture, the rules, regulation, the principle, all these things are still, like it's still they are not changed. We are bounded with this kind of old mentality, old mindset. We are limiting ourselves just because of, like, we are from India and we was ruled by the Britishers. But still there are so many organizations where the rules are still the same as followed by the Britishers uh, earlier, before our freedom or before our independence. So we I'm literally confused, and I have a question for every single person. Like, when we will get the actual independence from that rigid and stagnant, or you can say old mindset, where the norms, the culture, the tradition, and you can say, these kind of bonded things are not allowing to an individual to grow, to explore himself or herself completely in such a way that whatever an individual wants to do in his life, in order to in order to live life in a beautiful manner, in an expected manner, in a joyful way. So when that day will come, so what do you think about it, Sin?
Okay, go with Tamanna first, then I'll come back to you. Just wait a second. I need to
She is in railway station. How can she speak? But okay, let me try. Tamanna, are you there? Hello, Tamanna. Oh God, I unmuted, but she's not speaking. Even I'm not sure that she's here or not. Why? You know why? Because earlier, before you joined my open section, she was in railway station, and now I'm not getting a single sound from herself. So definitely she's not here. It's a kind of glitch. Guys, can you see her in my open section? It's like a CVT. Oh my God, CVT means, what does CVT means? Okay.
Okay, is it audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Mm.
No, she is not
No,
audible. Sorry. No, sorry. She is not audible. Yeah, so I think you and me are here only. So we can continue with this conversation. I ask a question to you. I hope my question is clear to you.
See, first of all, you need to, we just need to clear one thing about us, that is, there is a traditional and a civilizational differences in the world, right? And in fact, you talk about Indian civilization it's a very old civilization, and we have our own tradition and cultures. And all the tradition, all the culture are not obsolete or, let's say, stagnant in nature. So India is always a kind of a progressive society, along with the regressive mindset, I would say. But those regression itself are progression. So we have having a progressive mindset in the sense that we we are changing with continuity. So there are lots of things which are continuation, and in fact, we should be proud of the heritage that we are having, whether in terms of culture, whether in terms of history, whether in terms of tradition. So if somebody is saying that this tradition or this culture is totally uh, stagnant or it's obsolete, then I would be saying no, it's not so, because you are seeing the country from the Western lenses, and that's the reason why exactly what today Prime Minister has indicated, that we need to change the parameters. Why should we judge ourselves on the basis of their parameter? So this Orientalist perspective need to be changed, and we need to develop our own set of parameters. We need to define our own self, because if you're not defining yourself, then somebody is defining for you. Somebody would define you, who you are. So that's what I'm saying. So if somebody is saying like we need to change the culture and tradition, absolutely not. I would be totally disagreeing the fact and categorically denied this thing, because see, all the cultures and tradition are not sought to have a regressive mindset or regressive attitude, because regression not always a regressive. Regression also made in terms of progressive, and that's the reason we need to uphold the tradition, uphold the heritage that we are having along with the progress, because we can be the country with the 5G, uh, uh, 5G, this technology, along with the uh, you know. Along with worshipping the nature. We are doing so. So what's wrong with that? So I have seen some of the people commenting on Rakhi, and somebody said why these people are binding Rakhi and all these things. So see, this is a basic tradition. This is not at all a regressive mindset. So if you're seeing this through the feminist lens, then you would be finding then why the boy is always responsible to protect a girl. A girl can protect herself only or as well, right? But this is not the thing. The reason rational is completely different, and that's the reason why I said to answer your question that we need to free ourselves, not ourselves from the cultures that we are having, rather the mindset where you are trying to locate yourself or define yourself on the basis of others parameters, where you are seeing yourself inferior to other, where you are trying to cope, where you are trying to change yourself uh, to something else which is not your own, where you're trying to become like someone who you are not, because you have accepted him or her as a superior to you. So you are adopting some lifestyle just because you feel like you look more cooler, or you look more cool than in that particular gesture or get up, rather than being your own culture or traditional gesture. So that's my point. Are you there?
Okay, wait, am I audible now?
Yes, it's audible.
Oh God, I was talking and I just forget that I was in mute. Okay, so the way you explained the fact, it was really admirable, appreciable, and I must say that it was really outstanding and remarkable. That's great. And I do agree with your each and every single statement that, there's a difference between the regional belief we have, the conventional thing which we have, the traditional which we have, because we people are deeply, joined with that kind of beliefs, that kind of religion, that shows our culture, that shows our tradition, that is our real identity. We can't leave that, isn't it? As you just gave an example of that, like Rakhi. So, might be possible the guy who's speaking that why the people are tying Rakhi on the hand of a boy, because they don't know the story behind it. That is why they are saying. But one who knows very well the story, the importance, and the belief of that a particular Raksha Bandhan, the festival Raksha Bandhan, he will never ever try to think like this. He will never try to be speak like this. So it happens. And but the second thing I would like to mention here, Shin, that okay, I do agree with these kind of things. Like we shouldn't be irrational, like we shouldn't be raceless. You can say we shouldn't be make a difference between the based on religion, culture, tradition, caste religion, and like a lot of things, isn't it? That's totally unfair. That doesn't make any sense. point. But it's still, I'm just saying in general way, every culture and every tradition and reason, they have some kind of very old belief. Old belief means like that doesn't make any sense. Like we have to change our mindset, we have to change our thought process, we have to change our norms with the passage of time as well. Because if you will not try to change yourself with the changement of time, so somehow you will be not able to develop yourself, you are not able to meet yourself with the time, with the society, the nation, the world. And that's literally very difficult. People have a lot of superstitious thoughts. They have some illusion in their mind. They have some myth, and they don't want to be come out from that particular trap. They just want to be surrounded with those kind of beliefs, though they doesn't make any sense. For example, that we shouldn't allow girls to for a study and all. We shouldn't allow to girls to go outside for any job and all, and we shouldn't allow to you can say, like, there are so many things. I hope you can understand. Means that doesn't make any sense, don't you think so? Like even the girls are now matching, they are participating with the boys, and they are walking with the boys, hand to hand, and they are supporting equally. They both, boys and girls. There should be no feminism, there should be no gender discrimination. It happens, it is happening, it is happening in rural area or in village area, the back area. Like people are, they are giving the excuses of their tradition, their culture. This is something which we got from inheritance, and this is something which where we have surrounded by the upbringing. And just because of these kind of excuses, they are following still these kind of useless rules, and you can say belief. So I'm just saying that we have to change this mindset. We have to get independence from this rigid mindset, that we are not allowing to any individual to grow, to explore himself or herself completely. That what exactly I want to say. So that's my point. I hope you got my point. So what do you think about it?
Okay, first of all, I would say, sorry to say, but it is totally based on the wrong assumption. It's a false assumption to say that culture and tradition always remains static. I don't know why people are having this assumption or basic premises that culture and tradition means static. No, it is not. Culture and traditions are evolving, and it evolves with the time. First of all, now second, point number two, you said about the traditions and cultures which are impediments to the society, or let's say impediments to the empowerment, or let's say discriminatory in nature. Definitely, whenever there is a tussle between a culture and tradition and human rights, let's say, for example, the human rights always prevails over the culture and tradition. But when the culture, you are talking about the when the culture is not making any sense. See, there are lots of things which does not make any sense. Like, and how you are getting that sense, or how you are defining that sense through the scientific lenses based on the empiricism and rationalism. So if you don't find any logic, or if you don't find anything which may support your claim or support your assumption, you start claiming that it doesn't make any sense. So sometimes we do not have any reason to sense something, or we don't know how to sense something, and we say it is a nonsense. So first of all, there are lots of cultures in India which may be not consistent with what do you consider to be a scientific sense or scientific thinking, but they are in existence, and they are not discriminatory in nature, first of all, and they are not even impediments to the growth. So even though you are not having any sense for those things, but those things are progressive in nature. Now, third thing is that, as I said in the first case, that it is based on the wrong assumption or a wrong premise that tradition and cultures does not change, or it is static. It actually changes. It is evolving with the time. And the third point I want to make in reference to the first point is that, so whenever you are talking about the tradition, cultures and tradition can go side by side with the modern lifestyle. Now, modernity should not be defined from the cultural lenses. And cultural lenses in terms of Eurocentric lenses. So we are defining modernity in terms of having a AC or having a beautiful car or having a good lifestyle. But ultimately, that every society is having their own way of modernity, own way of their modern style. So you go to a society which is very much indigenous in nature. You cannot impose your sense of modernity and development to them. And similarly, I mean to say vice versa. So this is what I mean to say. If something is discriminatory, something is impediment, that sought to change. But if something is not making sense, you try to make sense out of it. If you're not able to do that, it's okay to have it, because sometimes some cultures are out of sense but not out of relevance.
But I do agree with you, Sam. But I'm not, see, I really appreciate the way you put forward your own insight about this topic. But I would say that still, like, you know what? Don't you think so that there are something which we have to change? Don't you think so? There are so many things from which we get independence. Though there,
No, I have
those
made
things should
I have
help.
made it clear in the second point only. If something goes against the something is discriminatory, it's not about
Mhm.
relevant or irrelevant. Something is discriminatory, or something which is impediments to human growth or a human civilization. Those need to be changed. Those need to
Changed.
be yes. So that's not exactly the my point. I'm agreeing on it, but what my point, which is rather incongruent to your point, is that you are talking about if something is not making any sense. There are lots of things which may not make any sense, but still we are following it, and we should not stop it just because it is not making sense, because you are unable to make any sense out of it. So you don't know God. So lots of people cannot prove God. Science cannot prove God. So they say God doesn't exist. So you cannot prove something on the basis of premise that is based on the uh, fallacy of opposite of fallacy of ignorance. Just because you cannot prove that there is a God, you say that there is no God. So just try to prove that there is no God. Can you prove that there is no God? No, we cannot prove there is no God. We can only try to prove if there is a God or not. If we cannot prove that there is a God, we say there is no God. It's just a fallacy of absence, fallacy of ignorance. So that's what I'm saying. It's lots of things in the world may not be consistent with the raison d'etre or are having a rationally, but that doesn't mean that they are irrelevant or that should not be continued. See, we
But
need to
don't you
come
think
out
so?
of this modernist mindset, and we're trying to prove or disapprove everything on the line of science, empiricism, rationalism, because we are living in the world which is post-truth, and what we consider to be a truth may not be truth for me, and somebody it is considering just an illusion. Who knows?
Agreed. Okay, fine. So now my next question for you that, fine, I'm not talking about those kind of, belief, the culture, the rules, religion, or anything. Like, we have to respect them. It doesn't matter they are changing with the passage of time or not, because they are something that they have their own existence, they have their own root, and we are not allowed to, to tease, to change, or to modify it by our own. It will happen with mutual support, with mutual understanding, and you can say a mutual, meeting, you can say, but mutual acceptance. Otherwise, not. But now come to your the second point, and I would like to ask you, okay, the things which we have to change, the things from which we have to, just come out, or you can say the which from which we have to get independence, how we can do that, what kind of steps you can suggest from your side, that the people who are still rigid and stagnant and fixed there, they are just glued with that thought process and those old techniques and old activities or old belief, if they want to change it, so what are the initiatives that you can take in order to do that?
No, that this is what exactly I started with. So you directly started with this assumption that these tradition and cultures are not changing. This is the wrong premise actually. See, tradition and cultures are evolving. It is
Since I
changing
didn't
first of
say
all.
culture or tradition, I didn't say the culture. I said something which should not be there, like which is really like
Okay,
again.
okay.
I'm not saying.
Which
Uh-huh.
Okay, got it. I'm coming to that. So you talked about what about those rituals and superstitions, which are discriminatory in
Yes.
nature, which should not be there. Let's say, for example, there was a
Uh-huh.
time when the women having a menstruation are not allowed to enter the kitchen or not allowed to touch the utensils or say, let's say, for example, anything like they were considered to be a kind of untouchables, and they were
Yes.
asked to live in a particular place. So see, this tradition was already been unfollowed, and now we are not following this tradition. Now let's talk about some of the traditions which need to be changed, and what are the steps should be taken in order to do that. See, first of all, always keep in mind there can be two ways to do that. One, to make an individual morally responsible to do what he's supposed to do. Second, by enforcing through the law. Now, you may make a law, but will not morally acceptable by the people. Like what about, let's say, for example, you ask everyone to follow something. Okay, let me give you an example. Let's suppose the government make a law and say that you should not wear a bindi, or let's say tika. You should not wear bindi or a tika, they have banned on the basis of certain reasonable grounds. Now you have enforced through the court of law. You have enforced through the by the law, but that law will not be accepted at the as the and in the moral ground, because it is against the belief system of someone. So my point here is that there are two ways to do that. First, through the law, and the second, by making by bringing a kind of a consensus on something. So there was a time. Let's try to understand in reference to the banning the sati pratha. Right. So there was a law. Apart from that law, there was a resistance to that law as well. So since there was a kind of a repressive apparatus by the Britishers through the police system, and that's the reason why it was successfully accepted. But in today's democracy, in today's India, where India is democracy, it is at all not. It's very difficult to presume, in fact, to implement certain law which would directly target the belief system of someone. So first of all, we need to bring the consensus. We need to develop that conscience or consciousness that something is wrong, and it can be done through through the dialogue with the actors, the stakeholders. Let's say, for example, if you want to change something related to a religion, bring the those stakeholder on the bench, on the table, and talk to them. Bring a dialogue, spread a consciousness, and try to get the consensus, and thereby then bring a law. That can be one way.
Okay, I got your point. But like, don't you think so? Even though we want to change something which is running for a very long time with us, with our culture, with our tradition, like at least one should at least stand for that changement. One should has to be a stand up. One should has to raise his voice that no, we are part of this society and are totally accepted. I want to be socialized. I want to mingle with society, and I want to mingle with all the people. I do respect to each and every single, religion, culture, reason, everything. But this is something wrong. This is something wrong. We need to change it. We must to change it. Is it really necessary that we have to involve government? We have to involve law and order in order to follow these kind of things, in order to modify some beliefs, modify to rules which we are, we are following for a very long time. Can't we make a mutual understanding? Can we make a mutual acceptance? Can we make a mutual coordination, harmony, or prosperity with each other? With the help of these kind of stuff, that we can discuss something, that what is the best way to overcome with this old or obsolete rigid mindset. How we can do that? Don't you think so, Sin? Like, there is always a hope for the best. There is always a way to solve a particular situation and problem as well. If, okay, fine, I accept. Whenever it comes to that, we want to do something new. Okay, we want to do something new. So this is 110% sure. Always that 80% people are opposite of that modification. Why? Because that modification literally affect to them, because they are not habituated to to follow those kind of things, these kind of modification. They are trained to follow the same one as it is, coming with their upbringing, their inheritance, with their grown up, or from very childhood. They are habituated, they are used to be follow those things. That is why it's kind of very difficult for them to adapt that change, and for the sake of to avoid themselves from that difficulties, they aren't ready to change these kind of modification. So what do you think about it? Is it right?
Okay, I don't know whether you have listened to me correctly or not. First of all, bringing consciousness and consensus is what I said, like bringing all the stakeholders, and they have to take their own initiatives in order to do that. You talk about the mutual understanding or mutual agreement on something, right? So that's what I talked about, bringing consensus, or bringing that you are mutually agreeing to accept something, that it is impediments or it should be changed. So thereby bringing a law. Bringing a law means to say, where because we are living in a society, and law is very much very necessary to check whether in its insurity in terms of what if, because you never know, if you are considering that people are rational, because if you are adopting this optimistic perspective or optimistic approach by saying that there can be a possibility of mutual agreement among the people, so there may be also a possibility that some of the people may go against of it. So in order to resolve the uh, circumstances or unforeseen circumstances, enforcement authority is necessary first. And the second thing is talk about that, is it possible to bring a mutual agreement? Uh, See, it is difficult, but it's not impossible. It is to say that it is difficult, but not impossible, because in the politics, we should always, ignore using impossibility, because in politics there is always a possibility, because it's all about the interest. Now, considering the fact that you talked about how it can be done, see, I do not have any particular answer to this question, because if I have if I have had the answer, then probably it would be already benefited India. But the thing is that sometimes what's more important is having a evolutionary process rather than bringing a revolution, right? So you cannot go a certain a drastic and sudden change. So rather giving up time and trying to create a ideological apparatus, so we can actually bring the change. That's what exactly my point here. That is to say, don't try to change something with a revolutionary idea, but adopt a kind of a evolutionary process by which you are actually try to instill the new values over the others. Because the very moment you try to supersede or remove a particular superstitions or particular belief system, there will be a vacuum. And how will you fill the vacuum? That's what I said. Always, it's always. In fact, last time when I was working on this UCC, Uniform Civil Code, and referring to Ambedkar, uh, Dr. Ambedkar, he has said a very good thing. That is to say that we have to empower the society at the conscious level, that they will accept the change by their own self. So don't try to impose the change, but bringing the change is more important, and it will come with the gradual process. It won't be come with a sudden process, because if you do so, there will be always a reaction resistance against it. And we have witnessed this in terms of many cases where we try to struck down a particular belief system which was very old and followed by the number of people.
Hello, are you there? Hello, Sin, are you there?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
Okay, I thought like I lost your voice. Okay, now I got your point exactly. Yeah, I do agree with you. That's really great. Good explanation. Okay, so we have done with this particular topic. Is there anything in your mind which we can discuss, or like I have to ask something?
No, I do not have any thought.
Okay, so out of the curiosity, I asked this question to so many people, but I didn't get a satisfactory answer of this question. So let me ask to you, and just because I'm asking to you, because I felt that you are the right guy to I can ask this question. I'll get a pacified answer from your side. So my question was very simple for you. Can you please tell me what the difference between psychology and philosophy, and where we can use both of that? Isn't once its uses, and is it like can we use these two things in our speaking skills? Like if you want to improve my communication, so can I use these two terminology or the facts or the things related to these terminology? Yeah.
Acha, so could you be more specific with your question?
It's more specific is something like you can say, what's the difference between psychology and philosophy, and the things comes under the psychology and philosophy can help an individual to improve his communication. Yes or no? If yes, so how? Am I clear with my question now?
Acha, okay. Let me tell you one thing, that we all perceive the world. We all understand this world. We all understand the knowledge of the world, and we are knowledgeable. But the point here is that how you and under which circumstances you are, uh, I mean, reflecting that knowledge to the world. Let's say, for example, if you ask a question related to gravitation, you would be you would get a different answer to different person. If a person is from geography, and if a person has having a geographical knowledge will give a different answer than the person who is not having a geographical terminology. So my point here is that, so when you come to the philosophy, or let's say, for example, psychology, answer to your first question, like what's the difference? Well, maybe everyone is knowing, because I believe that it's not that much hard to understand what's the difference between a mind and what mind is having. So let's say, for example, so psychology generally means to say when you are understanding the human behavior. So human behavior through the understanding of his psychology, or human nature from the understanding of how his brain works. And so, philosophy means to say you are trying to understand the world, not only the human being, how the knowledge is gathered, and what is the knowledge, and what is the nature of that knowledge, and what is the knowledge behind the things. So altogether, philosophy means to say where you are trying to justify the truth, or where you're trying to justify something logically. Now the point here is that how do we use psychology and philosophy always? See, we may be not aware of the reason of something, but we are doing that. Let's say, for example, lots of people argue that whatever you are saying, it's a philosophy. So some people say it philosophy, but for others, the person who has gone through that philosophy, he will call it as experience. So my experience would be sound like philosophy to you, and your experience would sound like philosophy to me. It's always a reciprocal and vice versa. So point here is that, so everyone's perception about the world and everyone's claim to our knowledge is what the philosophy is. When we are logically to try to establish something as a truth and we argue for it, it's a philosophy. When I say I see the red rose as a red, and but you say no, I see the red rose as a pinkish red, then both we are perceiving it through our senses, but we are understanding in a different way. So that's what how we perceive the world, how the philosophy works. Now bring back to the discussion about the psychology. I would say that psychology is simply when you are applying your mind or a brain to understand someone's behavior, whether he is extrovert or introvert, how is he speaking, how he is acting, how he is behaving, how is the gesture, how what is the whether he is showing the courtesy. It is all about the psychology only. So we are actually doing this all throughout the day, and there is no such something special, but maybe we are not aware of the fact that how we explain these things. How, let's say for example, also people, the native speaker, let's say for example, and there is a person, his name is not Chomsky, but there is a person, while defining a native speaker, he says a native speaker is the one who is very good in language that and who can find the mistakes in a language, even though he is not even or he's never studied grammar, but he can find the mistakes. So that's exactly we are doing, that we are using psychology, we are philosophy, but we don't know how and why we are using, and what kind of philosophy is this, we don't know.
Okay, so after listening to you all, and I got your points, like what exactly you want to say, like the things which I will speak. It might be like I'm following the basically philosophical law in order to convey my message, in order to deliver my ideas, in order to express myself in front of you. But the moment you will listen to me, you might not able to find it a philosophy. You will take it as experience. You will take it as a general thing, and you will not take it as a philosophy. It's all dependent on how you perceive the things. Agreed. But my question is that don't you think so? Like there should be some standard criteria. There should be something where the people can, set that it is an money or like we can say it is something which we already discussed, or you can say, like there should be some basic standard, basic criteria, standardized rules, Okay. Like by following these kind of rules, or whenever we listen to anyone, if the person is speaking like that under the rule, or if the person will follow those kind of basic criteria in order to speak or in order to express anything, so that time we can consider him that he is a psychologist, or we can say that he is like who is related to philosophy and all. So that's my question. Don't you think so that there should be some basic rule? And might be there will be. We are not acquainted with that.
There will be what, sorry?
Some basic standard criteria, some basic
Acha,
rules
acha, acha.
for psychology and philosophy as well.
Yeah, see, whenever you talk about a particular subject as an independent discipline or a discipline per se, there is always a standardization. Standardization in terms of techniques, in terms of its methods, in terms of its approaches, in terms of its nature. So this standardization not only exists in the terms of subjects, it also exists in the society. It also exists in the any organization. It also exists in the language also. Now you talk about the British English, you talk about the American accent, you talk about the different accents. These are all about the standardization of a language. So that means to say, when you are trying to locate or we're trying to understand who is a psychologist, who is a psychiatrist, or who is a philosopher, who is a logical philosopher, who is a metaphysicist, it's always can be understood through the method and techniques they are using. And this is what we call a standard of a particular discipline or standard of a particular subject. So if you talk a psychiatrist or psychologist, let's say, for example, the methods, the techniques he is using, the approach he is taking will suggest you that whether he's a psychiatrist or psychologist or a philosophist or the philosopher. or physicist. So it's all about the techniques and methods. So there are lots of things.
Okay, and that's great. Now I can make some sense. I can relate it with the question whichever I asked to you. But okay, fine. Now, next question for you is that can you please tell me, is it possible the guy who is psychologist, or the guy who is a philosophy, or who loves philosophy, can we use psychology and philosophy in terms of our English speaking, or in terms of our communication skills? Because as I noticed, and as long as I observed them, the guy are more into philosophy and philosophy, like the psychology and philosophy, they are have some profoundness in their words, their speech, their thoughts, the way they look at the things, the way they thought, the way they speak, and all of those things. So, is it so? Is it possible that we can use our psychology and philosophy in our communication as well? Uh, but the communication should be apart from the same topic. Like it should not be based on any topic which is related to psychology and philosophy. No, out of that field, can we use that knowledge as in our English speaking or improving our communication skills? And if yes, so how?
Okay, see, there are sometimes the academic oriented discussion or the subject specific discussion in which we tend to use or we should use the terminologies which are specifically meant for, or a technical vocabulary which are specifically meant for that subject or that discussion first. But since your question is that how to use the psychologist's philosophy or any subject per se in the day-to-day communication, it depends on the topic in which you are discussing first. And the second thing is that sometimes we may not aware of the knowledge. We may be not including the content of that subject, but we are we are using the knowledge of that content. Let me put in this way. Let's suppose example we are discussing about. Let's suppose you are going through a depression or you are going through a tough time. So definitely, if I am aware of some psychology, then I will try to help accordingly without necessarily using or without unnecessarily using the terminologies from the psychology. So that can be done. Let's say, for example, that's a very simple thing. Can be understood since you are an orator, you are a public speaker, you speak in a public because you are a good speaker as well. So when you speak in a public, I have seen you that there is a differential treatment. Differential treatment in the sense that sometimes you you adopt a very lenient approach to some people who are not that much good at English. But when somebody is good at English, you start asking so many questions and you start interrupting. So these two approaches or differential treatment in terms of communicating with different people also suggests that you understand psychologically that how one should be treated, how you are getting this understanding through your experiences, and this is what the psychology is. Without you knowing the psychology, you are actually a psychologist. When you are understanding someone's mindset, when you know that somebody is going through pain, when you understand through the voice that what the person is having in the mind, whether he is nervous or not, it's all psychology.
Yeah, yeah, that's really great. You spoke exactly what exactly I want to listen, and I got my answer. Because, like, you are not the first. I've been asking this question for a very long time to different people who are literally, you can say related to psychological kind of thinking. Those who have some different mindset, the way they look at the things, they're a little bit different. Because you and they people have some, have some different logic. For example, let's say my brother Khan, even if I will take this example, so he also has some different kind of perspective to see the things. I'll get an example to you. For example, a river is flowing. Okay, a river is flowing. Someone will ask me what's going on. I'll say river is flowing. But when it comes to you, I'm sure about it. You will not speak as like I was speaking right now. Definitely, you will use some metaphor. You will use some kind of beautiness. You will add something that makes that explanation more splendid and magnificent in such a way that the people, to those who are listening to you, they will say, wow. They will get baffled. They will get wonder that, wow, what a great explanation given by you. That only possible by your deep thinking, the way you are looking at the same thing. Do you remember the story of that Pandavas, where Guru Dronacharya asked to all his pupils that what can you see there in that tree? The one came, he said, like, I can see the wings of birds. Then another one said that I can see the stem. Then another one came that I can see some leaf. But Arjun is the only pupil over there who can see the eye of that bird. And that's why Dronacharya chose him as his best student or pupil in order to teach that Dhanus Vidya, that art of Dhanus. And that's how we can say the teacher can easily see. So what makes him different from all other brothers? The way he look at the things, isn't it? Because the bird is there, tree is also there, but see, this is our mindset that what exactly we want to see there, that are we able to connect ourselves with the exact thing? Are we able to see the exact thing, the things which the person wants to show us? So this is how the psychology and philosophy relate with each other. And it is really, yeah, quite complicated for me, and because I'm not more into that, but I don't know, like since 1 or 2 weeks I'm getting some interest to it. That is why I just asked this question to you. Hey, welcome, converters. Thank you for wishing us for Happy Independence Day. And yeah, if you are free, so you can also come in open section and you can enlighten us with your vast knowledge, if it's possible for you. Okay, so Sin, have you ever listened about three terms like optimistic, pessimistic, and realistic? Have you heard about
Okay.
it?
Yes, along with the realistic, there is another person who is now, which is known as, see, when you talk about the realist, you should also talk about the two other terms called idealist and also pragmatic.
So, wait, come again.
Okay, you termed three things like pessimist, optimist, and realist. So I would say, along with the realist, there are two terms which are called idealist and pragmatist.
Oh,
Pragmatist, yes.
this is the. Can you please write it? These terms, like just write the five, all these five terms, and that it will be possible for me to
No, I'm
understand.
spelling it because I cannot go to the comment actually. Because the moment I will type here, I don't know. There is a problem with my app, so that's the reason why I am not typing. The last time I typed,
Okay.
actually,
Oh,
uh,
wait, let me do
my
this.
app stopped working.
Wait.
It's a pragmatic. Pragmatic.
PRAG.
MATIC और इसी को pragmatist बोलते हैं. We say it pragmatist. That is to say PRAGMATIST. That is to say an adjective.
Okay, and the
Pragmatic. Okay,
idealist,
yes.
ideologist,
Idealist, not ideologist. Idealist.
Okay, GST.
Idealist.
Is
Yes.
IDEOLOGIST. Is this
No, no,
one
no,
the
no, no.
same? Then.
ID. Okay, ask Akash to write it down. He knows about it.
Okay, Akash is the same Akash, but he changed his ID again, I guess. No, he's not. He's Amit, I guess.
It's an idea plus list. Idea plus list.
Okay. Got it. Idealist.
Or it's
Okay,
the ideal plus list.
IDEALIST, I
Okay.
see.
Yes,
I
yes.
think this one. Is it right?
Hmm. Yeah. That's instead of pragmatic, you could have written you know, pragmatist. That is an adjective. Uh, or I don't know what for noun or noun maybe. I don't have idea what is this for noun, adjective, and verb is.
Okay, wait, let me do that. We'll have to write pragmatistic.
TIST.
PSIT.
So let it be, let it be. You don't have to mention that. People would understand it. So why did I mention these things? Now, pragmatist and idealist, let me make the difference. So one can be a realist, and being a realist, that means to say he is in the present, considering the present and the circumstances out of an action. That would be a certain, by calculating certain external or internal stimuli. Now, so far as the optimistic is concerned, that means to say, despite what the reality is speaking, you are always optimist about the future. So pessimist and optimist are the future oriented, but realism is more about the present oriented. Idealist is very close to optimism, where it sees everything positive. That means to say everything ideal, something which going to be at the best of the best. Right. But the pragmatism is something which a golden mean between idealist and realist. That means to say you are not that much real, not that much ideal, rather you are ideally real. So you are following certain ideal, but you know that those ideal cannot be achieved. So I have to somewhere stop myself and happy with the things I would get in